116th Hotline.
It's Sadie.
It's Satana. And welcome back to 116th Hotline. If this is your first time here, hello. If this is not your first time here, welcome back
to the best podcast
ever.
The hottest right now.
And you're wondering, well, what is 116th Hotline? It's a safe space not only for us, the host, but also for you, the listener / viewer. We talk about anything and everything.
And I really do want to stress that, give us something challenging. I don't know, are we up for a challenge?
We are always up for a challenge.
Because we'll just speak our mind on it, and we'll just be very mindful about
you know what? People have been telling us to shut up. Stop saying things. Aren't you guys scared of people, what's it called?
Downplaying on you guys, or
aren't you guys scared? Yeah, aren't you guys scared of cancel culture? Aren't you guys scared of what people are going to think? Well, hello, that's why it's our podcast, not yours. Okay, you can't have a podcast if you don't have thick skin, honey.
You have to.
And we're all about keeping it real over here.
Keeping it real since day one, babes.
Period. Hence why we are on season 3. Okay.
Ooh.
We're 60 something episodes in, babe.
No, seriously. Whenever I look back at that and I think, I was like, oh my gosh, we have 60 something episodes.
Yeah, hun.
So if you're new here, go and catch up. Catch up.
There's plenty. There's season 1.
Really good ones.
Season 2. Now on season 3. We've had a lot of great conversations, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have.
And it's only gonna keep being a great time.
Okay, since we're on there real quickly. Okay. Which episode do you think that you remember the most from, or that stood out the most? Let me go to our thing real quickly. On Spotify.
This would be
a lot, dude. We have a lot.
I would say one that sticks out to me.
At the top of your head.
We're probably one of the first ones when we didn't have any audio, or when we didn't have any video yet, and it was just on the iPad in Val's garage,
so echoey compared to
the
now.
The audio was bad, and I'm so sorry. Bad. Well, I was like, okay, people aren't listening because they're just haters. No, hun, the audio was not.
It wasn't horrible, y'all. It was so bad.
It was bad.
But then, the conversations
were good.
But then, it's really funny, too, because when I listen back to it, I want to say maybe, last summer, I was like, just, let me just go back to our first few episodes.
I do that, too, sometimes.
And I, cringed because, whenever your MySpace, oh, my gosh, Facebook memory popped up from, 7 years ago, and the way how you were typing, and you cringe, that's how I felt. And I was, looking at our episodes, and I was listening to us, and we're telling us this. We were talking so much. We were talking over each other. We were going crazy. We were just going ADHD because we were so excited for this new journey that we were going to.
We didn't know what to expect. It was literally.
We had no idea.
We talked a lot.
We talked so much
on top of each other.
We were going over each other. You couldn't even understand what we were saying. We were talking so fast.
It was literally a natural conversation. So we were just
and that's how we naturally are. It was just every time we get together, we're like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then the fact that we knew we were recording, and we're just so excited for the whole journey itself that we were just going, and I'm like, oh god, I was like, we sounded so crazy.
We sound
looking back at it, but
legit crazy.
Okay, so which one is specific? Do you want me to read them out loud?
Yes.
Pilot, real friendships, toxic friendships, life as a POC and racism, romantic relationships, alcohol, freedom to choose, how do you shop, the Hmong way, growing through the uncomfortable, featuring Leslie, our very first guest. Really, who am I? Wait, I don't even know what that is.
I think that was my favorite.
Really?
Yes, I think that's the first one where I cried.
It is?
I think so.
Identity
does it have video?
No videos yet. That was just audio.
I think the really who am I.
But wait, what was that one about?
I think it was about self-identity or something.
Oh, wait. I think I know.
And then I remember. I was asking, but really though, who am I though? Besides all the labels and all that.
Yes, yeah. That was an emotional one.
What about you?
Now I'm looking at it. I want to say, I'm looking at it right now. Everyone has bad days. Male photographers. Do labels matter in a relationship and security?
The male photographers one, I just want to cringe at.
I know. Ugh. Oh my gosh, the ones where we recorded in the trailer. Hey, those were good times. We were freezing up in there, but it was so much fun.
It was literally anyways, there's a backstory while Sadie's doing that. The reason why we had to record in there is because I had some.
We really didn't have any
stipulations as to why I needed to film at home, and so that was kind of part of our agreement. And that was kind of a growth season that I was just
it was a crazy season. We the fact that we pulled together and we did what we could to make it work and still record, it shows a lot of dedication.
But you know what I love, if you're a new listener here, or even a seasoned listener or viewer, is that I love that this podcast has seen us through all different seasons of our lives.
Like literally we started like started from the bottom, now we're here for real though.
Yeah,
we started like so.
And I love it because we really channeled a lot of our struggles in the podcast, and I think that a lot of people can resonate or can share shared experiences, and it's just crazy to me that's, I don't know, so many bad things happened during that time, so many good things, but we persevered.
It really was a lot thinking about it.
Yeah, I was going through life
a lot, honey. It was I think looking back at it now, I mean up to now, dang, I'm on 67 already. The one that's I can remember till today, whenever we were actually recording, was the unhinged one.
Bro, that one was so fun.
Our just like it's literally called Unhinged.
We were ranting. We're
just going off like, you know, just going off of what was on top of our head, and we're going crazy off the dome for real, like just talking about anything and it was so random, but it was so like a great representation of how we are, like our personality, how our brains work.
And I think that was like the first episode where we really were just like, no topic, let's just
go and get into it. Yeah,
like before that we would come up with topics, but I think I like episodes like that more,
where we just kind of like,
it's just natural.
And it's crazy because I love it because every time whenever Sadie and I have a conversation and we're like, wait, we can't talk about it because we got to save it for the podcast. And even whenever we're talking, like when we have guests, for example, the other day whenever Tara was here, I was asking her some questions. I'm like, wait, no, I have to wait until we actually record, because that's just how authentic that we are. Whenever we do record, we want it to be as authentic and come natural as possible. So we really like try to like hold off on the conversations, because we'll think and we'll be like, oh wait, this is a good conversation, we could be recording right now.
And it's cool because you can look back on it too.
I know, I love it,
and get like the real reaction,
sometimes whenever I look back at our old episodes, I'm like, oh, I said that, like, oh, she's right on that. And like, so I really,
like, I need to go listen to my own advice.
No, I swear. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. Whenever I have like some downtime, I'm gonna replay some of our old episodes just to kind of look back at it and just to see how far we've come, for real. Like, where
you need to. I like listening to old episodes.
I know, old episodes are really, really good.
What you said you were gonna ask something on this.
Yeah. So it's a new season, a new year, 2025. This is our second episode of the year. You know, just really, really looking forward to everything now. How do you, and I feel like, yes, we might have dabbled a little bit about some of these things that I'm going to talk about, but I really just want to dive a little bit deeper and just to see like new perspectives on this. Okay, so how do you feel about okay, so why are you nervous, girl? It's not anything that serious, but I mean, I guess
mommy,
it could be mommy, brother, gosh, ADHD. Okay, anyway, so the saying, okay, let's just go off from this saying, because I read about this like literally just like earlier today, and then like I've been thinking a lot about it.
Okay, let's unpack that.
If they wanted to, they would.
Oh, no. Don't do that to me. Let's
dive right into it, babe.
Don't do that to me.
It's crazy because...
Don't do that to me.
Why?
Don't do that to me, because I don't hate that saying, but it means a lot to me.
Really?
Like, if they wanted to, they would, because not only in like a relationship perspective,
yes,
but also in, you know, scenarios. Yes. Okay, let me just dive right into it. Like, what does that mean to me? Mm-hmm. If they wanted to, they would.
From any perspective.
I think for me, it holds a lot of meaning. I think for me, especially the feeling of being left out. And if you know what I'm talking about. That part. I think in any scenario where you feel like in the outsider, or you feel like you're not part of the friend group, or that you're not part of any, not included and excluded. Like, yeah, I feel like that's what that means to me. If they wanted to, they would.
That's the first thing you think of?
That's the first thing I think of. If they wanted to, they would make you feel part of the group. If they wanted to, they would support your content. If they wanted to, they would support you on your entrepreneurship. Right. If they wanted to, they would give you flowers. If they wanted to, they would do little things like buying you a vanity. Like, I think that also plays on both sides, though. If I wanted to,
yes,
I would show up for
period.
You. If I wanted to, I would make you feel included.
Yes. That's literally what I was thinking about earlier. Like, yes, we tend to think about, obviously, whenever you hear anything or you think about anything, it's your life, right? So it's very, very easy to it's easy to just think about it, painting it as if this is your point of view. You are the victim. Okay, you're the victim, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but then automatically you're gonna think, okay, but this is like why? Me. Yes, like okay, but oh my gosh, like this is me. Like I am, frowned upon. Like I'm not being included or whatever. Blah 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 blah. But then like when you have grown, whenever you can think about the other perspective too. Like wait, but do I also do that to other people as well? And really ask yourself that question, because I was thinking about this question earlier and I'm like, oh yeah, I do. Like I'm gonna admit it. I'm gonna admit it if like, like respectfully, I'm gonna admit my wrongs. And that's something I've been working on in the past few years and learning to like really just own up to my accountability in general,
I agree with that, because I've been also feeling the same too. Because for friendships, I think especially that where I feel like I'm not heard, I'm like, dang, like why don't they like communicate with me anymore? I'm like, but then wait, I'm not even giving the same energy back. So why am I expecting them to give me love and care and support when I don't even do that in return? You know what I mean?
How do you get to that point of realization? Like, oh,
I think you have to do a lot of self-work with your ego.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ego is the big thing. I feel like for ego, like for me, I feel like, I mean, I don't think I would call myself a narcissist, but I often see myself, like you said, playing like the victim, right? Like it's always about me. But then it's like, okay, wait, am I even giving the same energy? Like, let's be for real. Was I being a good friend?
That's a great point.
Was I being a good person? And I'm not going to say it out loud to them, but then for me, I'm reflecting that.
Yes.
Like, okay, I want them to love and care for me, but then I'm not even giving them the same. So why should I don't know. I think you have to really take a big step back.
Put your big girl panties on. Yeah.
Put down that ego and have a talk with yourself.
That's a really, really great point. And that's something that I did really wanted to dabble on too, because I mean, I don't know. I mean, like sometimes, like I said, when I'm thinking about it, because I heard this quote somewhere the other day, and then today I just had a conversation like this with two of my friends too that I had lunch with, and I'm like, ooh, like that's so true. If they wanted to, they would. But then and so automatically I think, okay, if they wanted to, they would for me, right? So again, like I'm putting myself in like the victimizing
from like myself. Just me from your perspective,
right? And I'm thinking, I'm like, wait, but then do I really like go out there and show up for everybody that I know and that like I in my circle and that I love? And I'm like, the answer is yes, I do. I mean, I don't know if I'm just being biased, but I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I do though. So like, how come sometimes I'm not really getting the why is it not being reciprocated? And like and like we talked about in one of the other episodes, I forgot what it was, but then like it's like, yeah, I initiate a lot of the things and I don't really get it back, and it used to really like get to me, but now I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever, like I'll brush it off. But at the end of the day, it does still like it gets to me, like I feel kind of like hurt by it. I'm like, this is kind of like weird, so I'm just like, so I keep thinking about that quote of if they wanted to, they would. So that really does kind of help me kind of like accept it, like to the point where I'm like, okay, maybe they don't want to anymore, and that's okay too.
I think also you have to look at it as a perspective of like, again, with the victim mentality, like instead of thinking why can't they do it for me, it's like they also live their own bubble as themselves being the main character.
Yes, that's true.
Like
I'm thinking about myself,
they also think the same, and maybe it's, and I think also the perspective of like it's more of a reflection of what you think about your feelings towards a person or like a situation. And I feel like when you're thinking of like if they wanted to, they would, but then like let's say they don't show up for you or whatever, I think that's more of like your inner insecurity.
Absolutely.
Of like how you feel about that person or that situation. And I think that is hard to admit.
That is hard to admit,
because you're like, wait, so why am I feeling like that? Okay, maybe because I'm not being like that too.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
That's really hard to admit.
That's a really hard pill to swallow for sure. Because like, I mean, in the past few like months, I've had just little situations, and they're not big crazy situations where I'm like, like graduating and my best friend doesn't show up or whatever, but just little, dabbles here and there. I kept questioning, like I kept on, like I can tell it's bothering me because my subconscious, I keep thinking about it. I'm like, why is this person not congratulating me? Why is this person not saying like why is this person not like, just giving me my flowers or just showing me whatever? And I like, it just kept bothering me, even though I try to brush it away. It keeps coming back to me. So I'm like, now that you mentioned that, I think maybe it is just because like a little inner insecurity where I'm like, but am I truly happy with it? Because if I am, then that's all that matters, right? Like I don't really necessarily need this from anybody. So it's like, I'm like, you know, really literally working through this process right now as I'm speaking about it. But it's just like some.
And I think you also have to take into perspective too, is that it's almost like you have to forgive that person in your mind and in your own scenario in order for you to get past that part.
To get past it,
because like, let's say if they didn't congratulate you or whatever, and let's say they did you wrong or whatever the case may be, you have to be willing to forgive them, even if you don't get the closure, because if you don't, then you're not going to ever get past that.
Exactly. And honestly, I just had that conversation too.
Really hard.
I think a lot of it really, really comes from like within your own self.
It is.
Like your individuality. Like, and that's the hardest part too, where people don't really like, because at the end of the day, again, you victimize yourself and everything's like, you know, you, why are they doing this to you? Why are they not? Like
that's your perception of it.
Yeah, of them. Yes. And sometimes like I really catch myself like in the mix of it where I'm like, but why though? Like, should I reach out to person, like ask why? Again, it's like the validation thing. Like, you know, like we want the validation and we want the like, just like the answers for some reason.
But I don't know. I feel like that's like you though. I feel like you want closure.
Yes, I want some kind of explanation.
For me, I'm like, nope. I'm like, it's closed. It's done. Like, I will deal with that on my end.
That's true. But then like, how do you, okay, so since you are thinking that way, how do you deal with it? Then you, like you said, you just try to like, forget about it and forgive in your own heart and mind, and that's how you move on from it. And like
yeah,
how does that work?
Because like for me, I feel like it's easier to work on it on myself, because again, that's my perception of the situation. That's my perception of what happens is happening between a situation. So I think like for me, I have to stop communication and work on it on myself, and then once I'm done and healing that within myself and realizing that it literally has nothing to do with the other person, it has everything to do with me, how I perceive it, how I'm manifesting it, like that it's all me. It has nothing to do with that person. It's how I'm perceiving it. And once I like digest that, then I'm like, okay, now I can unblock them. Now I can see them again, because that's just how I work through my emotions. Because even if I bring it up to the other person, what if it's nothing like what I'm thinking?
What you were thinking the whole time, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have something going on, and that's why they just weren't. Yeah,
exactly. Like,
and you made up a whole scene in your head already.
Exactly. It's like you can only control what you control, and you can control how you think, how you process things. So I just always say, like, take time for yourself. That's how I think of it. Like, take time for myself, work on my own shit, and then I can resume talking to that person.
I like the stopping communication thing. I think that's one thing with me, because I am, and like, again, it's a working progress of me being a people pleaser, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this in the past few episodes before, and even last season, where I'm working on like not being a people pleaser anymore. But it's just so hard to what is it called? I was gonna say unalive.
To actually do it?
No, yeah, to actually do it, to unlearn things, right? Unlearn things that I was like, you know, rooted to, and like growing up, like that was rooted in me, like to be a people pleaser, to be a mediator, to be a person that's, you know, like I want happy everybody to be go lucky. But then like, so it's really hard for me to like continue that process when eventually like my subconscious in the back of my mind keep on asking me, like it's bugging me again, like, hey Sadie, like this person didn't do this, like how come this person didn't reach out to you or whatever, and it just keeps bugging me, and I'm like having conversations in my head about it, and I'm like, this is weird, why am I having like a little conversation and battle in my own head when it's probably not even that big of a deal? Like, so I think it's just a lot of inner self-work that I need to do too, for sure. Like, and I do like the stopping the communication thing, like
you don't have to stop entirely, but I think like, because you come to a crossroads, right, where you're like, either I'm gonna talk to this person and like make it be like what it's not, or B, like just leave it as is, you know, and work on myself. Right. So I think like you can either make or break relationships that way. So I think like if you're going to be an adult about it, I think you really need to think about yourself. Why am I feeling this way? Is it being perceived this way, like for real, or am I just making stuff up in my head? You know, I just think that it's if you're trying to work it out, like in your own healthy perspective, I think it's just taking a step back and like really reflecting within yourself, like the inner insecurity, like, am I just looking for validation? Am I, you know, but then also at the same time though, like you deserve to be respected too, like, you know what I mean?
I think that's just the main thing that I'm fighting against. Like, yes, like I'm probably do have some inner self, you know, insecurities going on, but at the same time, I'm like, if you're someone that I've been showing like, you know, respect for the whole time, I'm acknowledging you all the time, and I don't get like a slight acknowledgement at all, then that makes me start questioning, like,
You know what? It just made me think of. It made me think of the Let Them theory by Melanie Robbins.
What's that?
I love Melanie Robbins. She's a very like inspirational motivator person, and she has a theory called Let Them. So she's like,
oh, let them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And like if they're talking shit, let them. If they're not reciprocating your feelings, let them.
Yeah.
Like you have no control over what other people are doing.
That's
you
true.
have control over what you yourself is doing, how you absorb things, how you process things. You have control over that, but you don't have control of what other people are doing.
That's true.
And I truly believe in that too.
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna start using that.
Because it's like you may feel like, you know, like I said earlier, like left out. You just let them do it. But then how you feel, you have to process it yourself.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with them.
That's true. That's true. I think it's just the getting to like processing, like how do I get to the processing part? But then like you said, you know, stopping communication, taking a step back. And so I think I'm gonna practice that. That's gonna be my first few steps of, you know, doing that. And then like I said, it's not like anything that's like life changing where it's like huge.
No, and I think like that's like your problem is you're very like you care.
Yes, I do.
care a lot. And I'm always like, Sadie, stop it.
No, I need to stop that, dude. I need to stop. I've been better. You've been better.
You have been better this year.
I have been so much better with that. Like I'm just like I said, like I've been, you know, trying to practice like the nonchalantness. I'm just like, like it's not gonna bother me, because the more I do it, then the more I practice it, it's going to work, you know.
Yes.
But then like sometimes just little things that will kind of dabble up on me, you know, like creep back up into my mind, and I'm just like questioning myself, and then I find myself having the conversation of why, like just seeking validation, I guess. I don't know. But
I think when you think of the why, like just stop yourself right there, because you don't have control over the why.
Ooh,
you
period.
don't.
That's true.
Hey, that was I ate.
She ate with that one.
No, you literally don't have control over the why.
That's true.
You have control over the how you feel about it.
Okay.
But the why, you're never gonna get that.
Just kind of like the whole thing with like the whole closure. If you don't get the closure, if you don't ever get the closure, then you know you just have to. And I've dealt with that, like, you know, learning to accept that I'm never gonna get the closure, and then look what happened. A few years later down the line, I got the closure. So, okay, maybe.
And that's literally how I feel too. I mean, like in my own experiences, you know, you're never ever going to get the closure. And you know what, from experience, maybe that's the best, because even if you do, what's going to change? Nothing. You're literally still going to process things the same. You're still going to have the same insecurities, the same feelings, the difference is that for me, and how the way I experience things and process things, is that choosing to close off communication and learning to work with how I feel on the side has made me a better person, because I can forgive them for making me feel that way, when really that was just my own, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly.
That's just how my brain works.
Dang, that's crazy. I mean, and knowing you know, in your background, you've been through a lot too. So I'm sure that you've been doing a lot of self-work on that. Yes. And you've, you know, came out the other side where, you know, you're just, the past is in the past, whatever happened, and like, you know, you've let it go. Like you said, you learned how to let it go. So
I learned how to let it go. And then also when you get put back in that scenario or in that same feeling, I always think about how far you've come, Satana.
Yes.
Do not fall back into it.
Cannot reel back into it.
No. Yeah. Because it's easier to choose to fall into it than to fight it every time.
Yeah, every time. That's true.
And you just have to, like, especially if you're someone who's working on your mental and on growing as an adult, you have to always choose to just fight the good fight.
That's crazy, because I mean, I had similar conversations with some of my friends, and they're, you know, we're all older, we're all adults, and there's just like a lot of things where they really just can't let go of, you know. And I'm like, that, I mean, it really speaks volume of how big of a battle you're battling within yourself. Like you said, it's really not the other person anymore. It's really isn't the other person.
It's like literally you
in your own mind, in your own head. And that's like the biggest battle that you do have to fight.
That's why I say you have to forgive. That's why I said, like, on the side, like, you have to imagine that it's them, but really it's just you and your consciousness. Because if you choose to hold on to those things, the only person that it's messing up is you. It's not doing anything to the other person. And I always say this to people that ask me, like, how do you get over, like, being a hater and stuff? I mean, I work on it all the time. It's just, if you have to always consistently learn to let it go, because if you choose to hold on to it, it manifests into something so big and ugly and disgusting. And then
you start getting like hatreds and stuff.
Yes,
consuming you.
It's consuming.
It's this kind of ties in with it. Like, I was having a conversation earlier too with my friend that I was in a past relationship where I, like, this person brought out the ugliest and the craziest, evilest side of me, and I'm like, the crazy thing is, I'm not like that normally, you know. I was never really like that, but then, like, being surrounded by that all the time, it really brought out the most, like, crazy and toxic and evil side of Sadie, and I'm like, oh god. Now looking back, I'm like, I am disgusted with myself at the time, you know,
like how you acted during the time,
you know. So it's just like, that's like a prime example of like when your mind is consumed by so much of whatever it is, whether it be negative or positive, especially if it's negative, it'll bring out the worst in you, and then it'll affect your actual life, like everybody around you too. You
will start acting like it. And I think that's what I learned too, is surrounding myself with negative people. Is negative people. I just started acting like that.
It's so easy though. It's so easy because
it's so easy. And Danny's like, why are you acting like that? And I'm like, I really don't know.
I don't know.
Like,
why am I acting
it's because I choose to surround myself with those type of people. I'm going to become that.
It's like a magnet.
It is. And it's like that's why I say you have to choose to fight. Because if you don't choose to fight your surroundings, the people that you're with, whatever, you're always going to be and I just hate the feeling of being negative.
Yeah, I know.
It feels, to me, it feels so heavy.
It does so heavy.
It feels dirty. It feels like a lot.
It's like a lot of work that you have to do just to be like,
to keep that up.
To keep up the negativity.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
That's why you just have to choose to let it go.
I know.
Let that shit
let
go.
It go. Let it go. Yeah.
And you know what I do? You can go walk it off. Go work it out.
That's something that I really do need to push myself more to, like, just to, like, in the last episode, I was talking about when we were bed rotting, you know? So it doesn't help when you're bed rotting, because then you're all thinking about it. You're all thinking about it. So I really just need to get moving more and, like, you know, just to get, like, the serotonin going, so that way it'll wash away, you know? Yes. It'll, like, let it in and let it out.
You need to.
I really need to do that. So
I need to do that too. It really does help when you actually do something physical to just cleanse your body of that, or cleanse your mind of that, so you're not focused on that one thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's just something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, because I mean, even though it's, as much as I don't want to think about it, like, little bits and pieces keep on, like, you know, like, creeping back up, and I'm like, I'm having this conversation, and like you said, the why. But that's a really, really great answer though. Like, you said that you don't know the why. Sometimes you're never gonna get the why.
No, you won't. And you know what? It's very adult of you, because you're actually thinking of that.
Yeah.
Because, like, for me, from my own personal experiences, like, until you, like, question yourself and work on yourself, you're never ever going to get past that. Like, you literally have to continue to ask yourself. Well, for me, okay, one of the flags is that it keeps popping back up, right? So obviously, number one, it's bothering you.
Yes.
Number two, you got to figure out how you can deal with it within yourself. And number three, like I said, the other party, you're never gonna get, like, you're never gonna get what you're looking for. So it's always like just working on making yourself better, choosing yourself to be the bigger person, working on how I can get past this as my own individual. It's hard.
It is hard, because I'm like, it's a process. I'm like, wait, how do I do this? Like, I don't even know how or where to begin. But then, I mean, you've given me some really, really great pointers just now, though. Like, you're never gonna know the why, and it's like, you know, I think it's just the point of acceptance, like, of accepting that, yeah, you're never gonna know why from that other person, like, why, or even if you, and I feel like if I were to even ask why, I will be downing myself. I will be putting myself, stooping down to a level where I'm like, what's the word? Desperate.
Well, that's why I said, I don't want to be desperate. That's why I choose to just do my own thing, like, stop it, because it's like, at the end of the day, even if they do give you that, like, what are you getting from it? Like, right, exactly. Like, what is that going to do? You're literally still going to have to process things the same.
Yes.
Go through the same things. And you know what? It takes a brave person to choose to grow from any type of situation, and you'll get through it.
Yeah, and I know I will. You know, like, I think it's just a lot of things, like, hitting me all at once, especially, and I have been mentioning this in the past few episodes, because of, I am turning 30 this year, you know, so it's the, like, realization, midlife crisis, and I'm like, oh my god, everything is like, it's every single time around this year, around my birthday, I always get, like, so extra like, emotional and sentimental and irritable, I guess. And I think it's true though, because of the what is it called, the
I'm just
what is it called, not the universe, but what is it called,
retrograde,
and what is it called again, the signs and stuff, what do they call it? You know, whenever you read the signs, like Aquarius, Gemini, what is this?
The astrology,
because I could have, dude, like, I want to say, like, 2 years ago around my birthday, like, I had a situation too with, like, some people that were kind of close to me, and it was just really rubbed me the wrong way, and I was so affected by it, like, so bad. And mind you, this was, like, really, yeah, mind you, this was probably, like, 3-4 years ago, and I was, like, going, like, I was taking it out on everybody, right? I was taking it out, and then I was, you know, I did some stupid things, like putting it out onto, like, social media or some shit like that, and then one of my friends was like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, just a lot of things. Like, it's just a lot going on. So I'm overstimulated. I'm over, I was just like irritable, very, very irritable. And then I just started like acting out. And I'm like, oh gosh, Aquarius season, like, my birthday's coming. Like maybe it's all in the air right now. It's a lot, So maybe that's why I'm feeling it extra again this time around. But I mean, it's not as crazy as it was, because I mean, obviously I'm more rational. I can think rationally now, where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to act over something so stupid. But then at the end of the day, I'm still questioning myself in my own head. But I can work through this. So then it's just something that I thought it would be good to talk to you about, since you've been through a lot of it too. And how do you process it, and what are the steps to get to it? And like you said, I feel like for the most part, I'm a very, very aware person, like self-aware for the most part, and I'll admit to that too. And like I said, I'm not afraid or ashamed to admit if I feel like insecure, or if I feel like, if I have done something wrong or like disrespectfully, I will own up to it. I'm not the type of person that I'm trying to like, beat around the bush, or I'm not trying to like, hide shit just to make myself look good. I'm very much like, in the past few years now, I feel like I'm very much like a person that I will admit to things respectfully, and I'm gonna own up to it. I'm gonna stand on it, stay with my whole chest, because that's just how I am as a person.
But you know what? Let me give you your flowers real quick.
Ooh, get my flowers, babe.
Because you know how you were talking about your birthday a couple years ago? Like, look how far you've come.
Period.
Look how far you've come, because I remember that night.
You do?
I do. I remember that night, and I remember how like kind of off the rails you were, and like, look how far you've come. I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit.
You're right.
For how far you've
come. Don't make me cry.
No, seriously, you don't give yourself enough credit for how far you've come emotionally, and like, mentally, and like, I feel like you do tend to do this around your birthday, and maybe this year it's bigger because you're turning 30, so you're just realizing things, and that's normal. And I think that you're doing the best you can with what you can, and sometimes you just tend to, you're doing better than you used to about people pleasing, but I feel like sometimes you still fall into those habits.
Yes, exactly. Oh gosh, now I have like tears coming out. But yes, I do still like, because that's just how I was. Why am I crying?
I know,
astrology. But yeah,
but you have to think about, do you want to do that for the rest of your life?
No, I don't. You're right. I do need to like start appreciating myself, and like really like you said,
putting myself first,
and giving myself more flowers, because stupid little things like this can like eventually catch up to me, like it is,
and build up. Yes.
And that's something that I've always struggled with, like in the past too. Like I hold it in, and then until like it finally gets to me,
That's why you got to put yourself first. It's not selfish to do that.
That's true. And it's obviously easier said than done, because I can say it all day long, but then like actually doing it, it's like, and that's what I've been, but then that's what I,
because you're a good person. You're a good person, and you care about people, and I know that firsthand. Is like, you always want to make sure that the people that you love and care for feel that they're loved and cared for. And you know what, sometimes people are not good at showing that. Even I'm not good at showing that sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, people are not good at showing that sometimes. So don't expect the same exact way.
That's true,
because some people don't know how to do that.
That's so true.
And even from my own personal experience, like, it's hard, because you want to show up, but sometimes it's just hard for people to do that.
I think
the way you expect them to.
Yes.
Or the way that you expect, because you're doing it, they're not going to do the same thing.
That's just how some people are. They're not like that. You're right. Anyway,
you feel a little bit better after that?
100%. Like, I think that's like whenever I'm about to start crying again.
It's part of being human. It's okay. It's okay, because you know what? You're turning 30. This is the last year beginning your 20s. Dude. You literally have less than 30 days before you turn.
Dude, that's insane.
Before you are welcome to the 30 club.
I'm gonna be like an official adult. But I think it's like, it really helps whenever I surround myself with people like you, because like you remind me like of those, right? You pull me back into reality. Like, yeah, you know what? Like, this is the reality of it. Like you just said earlier, sometimes you're never gonna know, and even if it's like I said, I'll admit to like my insecurities, right? But then like hearing it from outside too, it's like, ooh, like it hits harder, right? Like, it's like coming from a third person point of view, it's like, oh yeah, like that's true.
You already know that, but you just like need
when you hear it out loud. And I'm the type of person that, like, back then I used to like not like to hear that, right? Like, 22, 23, 25-year-old Sadie would be like, what are you talking about? I'm not insecure. Like, I'm confident. And this and that. Like, denial, like putting up a facade, putting up a mask and everything. But then now I'm like, you know what? I needed to hear that. Like, thank you for telling me that, because I needed it. I needed that. I probably still have tears on my eyelashes, but like, but then like, you know, like when you speak these type of words to me, like it hits harder, and it's like it's a reality, and I truly appreciate it. And then also just you saying like you gave me my flowers, like that appreciation, that's why I cried just now, because it's like that's like the sentimental stuff that I think I need, you know, to just help ground me again, you know, to keep me grounded. So
I'm gonna tell you what, I think that especially, I don't know, maybe just being women or people that are in touch with their emotions, is like we tend to think about ourselves last all the time. Always. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. We tend to always just give until there's nothing left in the bottle, and then like at the end of the day, then you're like, okay, well, what about me? And it's like, yeah, that's why you gotta learn to just put yourself first, because if you do not take care of yourself first and really like make sure that you're good before you start taking care of other people, you're literally gonna have like nothing left for you.
That's so true. And it's crazy because we've talked about this in like previous episodes before, right? And like I said, it's like easier said than done. Like I can say it.
We've been doing this podcast for 3 years, okay?
I know.
And it's like but you have to choose to do that.
You have to choose to. Oh my gosh. Day. I saw something on TikTok of this girl saying that, you know, what is her favorite quote, and her favorite quote is, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it. I was like, ooh.
I seen that one.
Like, if you're not changing it, then you're choosing it. I was like,
what does that mean to you?
So I think that just put it into perspective for real, that I have a choice. Like at the end of the day, I have a choice of everything I do. Like, yes, I mean, and that's crazy. I'm like literally working through this as we're talking about it right now, because like even those stupid little thoughts that I've been thinking about, I'm choosing to think about it, right? I'm choosing to let it like run in my head, and choosing it to like make me feel like, feel kind of shitty about it.
Yeah.
But then I'm gonna choose that anymore. Today is a new day. It's a new day. I will choose to not let that bring me down anymore, you know?
And you know what? That's okay.
Change. That song's gonna be stuck in my head forever. But no, and that's okay. Like, for real, like, that's just like...
And it's brave of you to remind yourself that, because it's not easy. It's not easy to always choose. It's so hard, dude. It is.
It's so hard, like, just to naturally think of how your mind was, you know, wired to think, like, all your life until now. You're like, okay, yeah, I literally have a choice. Everybody has a choice.
Because how you work through things, it not only is how you're working through things as an adult, but also the little you.
I think inside. That's the hardest part. That's the part that was like, will always, I mean, and I don't know what kind of trauma I've been through as a kid. Maybe it's just stupid little things of not getting validations or recognition from, like, I don't know, my parents or whatever. It could be, who knows. So maybe that's why now I kind of like really seek those things, you know? So that's, like you said, now you're working with your adult stuff, your adult life, and your emotions, and then you're like your inner little kid in emotions and all.
So I feel like we just zoom past to like adulthood, and we're like, oh, like we're good, but it's like, no, your little you needs that too. So like, you know, you need to be like, it's okay if we don't get that, because we can give it to ourselves.
That's why that part, okay, sorry, but I'm bringing up Wicked again. The part whenever she fell, you know, and she saw her reflection as a kid, that part got me good. That's when I started bawling.
She's like, she's saving herself.
Oh no, and there was an interview whenever they were talking to Cynthia about it, and she started bawling because she said that whenever I saw that scene, I was literally in my real life, I was talking to my old self, and that was okay. And she started crying. I was like, oh my god, I was a mess watching that. But it's so true though. It speaks so, you know, volume to us about like whenever you think about your little you too, like your little...
Yeah, because people think that it's so easy to like to grow and to be like mentally mature, but it's not. It's literally like you have to, it's a lot of like hard conversations you have to have with not only your present self, but also your past self, your little self, the future you. And I think that until you experience that, having to work with like your inner demons, or like the healing of just one side of a problem or issue, until you have to really truly experience that, you're never going to understand what other people go through.
That is so true. That's such a great point that we need to highlight this part, because like a lot of the times, and now it's making sense, like as adults we're going through these things because of our older, you know, I mean our little self, that we never got a chance to like heal, or just to completely understand, you know, what we went through or what happened and why. I mean, it really affects you. Like, I mean, like,
because it affects how you process things too
as an adult.
Because you're like, okay, am I truly feeling this way because someone's making me feel this, or is it because I just have a hard time with accepting that not everyone's gonna show love me the same way I show love to them, show up for me the same way I show up for them. Like, I always think of, don't expect other people to show up in the way that you show up. Because it's like, they are not you. They are not wired like you. They don't have the same experiences as you. They may think that they're doing their ultimate best, but you may not think that.
Yeah.
So it's hard because we have such, I think for compassionate people, that you have such a high level of like, you know, I give myself really high flowers because I do all these things, A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Right.
But then other people can't even live up to that. Like, what the heck? Like, that's the bare minimum. But it's like, some
but then
people
maybe on their end, that's the best they can do.
Yeah.
I think I've got to remind myself of that too. Like you said, like I said, it's so simple, but it's so complex at the same time, because everybody is their own individual self, and maybe they're battling with some bigger demons on their own too. Yes. You know, so it's just like, man, it's a lot of things. I don't know.
I think realizing too that, like, people battling their own battles, it really is true, because, you know, going back to like the being the victim and like thinking everything's all about me, it's like, that's just naturally what we think.
Yeah.
That it's just all about us. But it's like, no, like, the other people are literally just trying to survive. And I think that sometimes when I get into that hole too of like being like a toxic negative Nancy, like I start thinking like really hard about that. Like when I was in the dumps of the dumps, you know, I was just trying to survive, and people probably thought I was, you know, not being a good friend or whatever.
Because you're not reaching out to them.
Exactly. And it's like,
that's a great example.
It's like, when I start feeling like I'm in that mode, then I'm like, wait, they may be battling battles that no one knows about. They may, you know what I mean? Like I need to get my ego down, swallow my pride, and like, it's fine.
Take a step back.
It's fine. Yeah. They're doing their own thing in their own world. And, you know, that, I mean, all you can do is give people grace. Give people grace that you would want if you were in that same situation. You know?
Yes. That's
damn, I'm eating today.
Sure, she ate. Says she ate.
I don't know. I think it also comes into perspective of like, you know, in my life, I feel like I've experienced just so many things that I don't want other people to feel what I felt.
Like you wouldn't wish that on your worst enemy type of deal. Yeah, like it's.
So I know you're going through like a transition period right now, and I think like it's pretty fair to say like, the only person that's going to understand what you're going through is yourself. That's true. Like, I can sit here and give you information and like my own experiences all day, but what you're going through is different from what I'm going through and what I've been through. And, you know, this is like the painful part, but it'll make you a better person when you're out on the other side.
Facts. I can't wait. And
so if you're going through something like this,
yes,
maybe you're trying to grow more mentally, maturely as an adult. Maybe you're going through growing pains. I don't know.
I think it is. It's literally a part of growing. Like, I mean, if you think about it, like, it's kind of a stupid analogy, but then when you go to the gym, you work out a lot and your muscles all sore, right? It's because you're growing. Your muscles are growing. You have to go through pain in order to grow. Dang, we just became philosophers today.
Well, I feel like a lot of people don't talk about that because, you know, you go through your whole life thinking that everything is always going to be the same in every stage of life. But it never stays the same. Things are consistently changing. And if you don't change with it, then I feel like when things start changing, you start feeling uncomfortable. And you start feeling like, wait, who am I? Like, who am I without this period of my life? Like, if I change things, are things going to be the same? And, you know, I always say change is scary, but sometimes it's needed. It's
definitely needed. You need change in order to grow, though, anyway. So change is necessary. I think it is very necessary. And I mean, as I'm sitting here talking about this conversation with you, like, it's like, yeah, it sounds so simple, but then when you're actually living through it and going through it, it's going to be very, like, you know, new, and it's gonna be very like scary, like you said. It's gonna be like, wait, like scary. I'm not used to this. Like, how am I gonna do this? Like, I think it's just taking the first initial few steps to actually grow through it and be like, okay, this is change, and I have to be okay with change. Yes. You know, I have to be okay with the change. So,
and just because you change something doesn't mean that it can't go back to the way things were. I think it just looks different.
Yes, that's so true.
You know, it's not like you're consistently going to be a brand new person, but it's like, I may be the same person, but just a couple things have changed in a different font, or like maybe I'm taking a different route. But it doesn't necessarily mean I have to delete everything that I am and start all over. You know.
Dang, she philosopher today, girl.
Brick by brick. I mean,
let's go, sis.
Life experiences that I wouldn't wish on anyone, but they sure have helped me become the person who I am today.
Wise.
And that's what happens when you become 30.
This is 30.
This is 30. But yeah, no, I definitely see that you're going through a transformation, but just know that on the other end, you're going to come out fine. 30 is not really scary. You will be thriving, and it just puts things more into focus. So just think about it like you're just like adjusting the lens.
Oh my god, my friend, the one that I babysat her baby, she literally told me that, because when I asked her, I was telling her that I'm turning 30 in 2025, and she said, and I asked her, hey, how did you feel whenever you turned 30? And she literally said that when she turned 30, she tends to like focus more on like the main important things, just like hyper focus on like the main important things, and you just tend to like, I don't know, something along those lines when she said that to me. So I'm like, oh, like, I mean, that makes sense, because I mean, I feel like it's already slowly starting, and it already started from last year, because I was kind of like, you were already hyper anxious the entire time about like, oh gosh, I'm really gonna hit the 30 mark, and we joke around and we're like, it's like it's the new 20s, right? And I think that was me trying to like mask my anxiousness, over it, like it's like just so.
See, that's hard to admit. And
period. And like I said, I'll admit anything and everything to this day. Like now that I'm like a lot older, like I will admit it, and I'll say it with my whole chest, because I mean I think I'm admitting it to now that I was trying to mask it, because but in the reality side of it, I was just really anxious and scared to like.
And that's okay, because it's when you go into the unknown, it's always scary.
Yeah. But then I've seen so many people that they've hit their 30s, like you. For example, you've been thriving. So I've really been thinking about 13 going on 30, flirting, thriving. I'm like, okay, but maybe that is, a beautiful thing. And I'm like excited. Like, it gives me a little bit more of excitement rather than anxious now about it. And I am. I think, like you said, it's just a time of transition for sure. And it's just like, like shedding old,
You're shedding your old
20s Sadie, and just like
emerging into the butterfly.
It's so crazy, because it sounds so crazy, but it's so beautiful. I feel like it's such a beautiful thing when you put in that perspective. Yeah. And then seeing how you have been thriving literally since like 30 period, girl, I'm like, okay, I love it.
So many changes since I turned 30. I turned 30 in August. September,
August,
October, November, December. It's only been 4 months.
It's only been 4 months. But then I think like even leading up to your 30s, it was already in the works. It was a transition. It was already in the works until like, and it's just been beautiful. And it's been so beautiful to watch you like thrive and give you your flowers. Period. Here you go. Smell the flowers.
Smell good. Lavender, just how I like them.
Lavender. Like, like you have been thriving and living your best. And I think I truly see it unfolding in front of my eyes through your life, or so far, through my sister-in-law, through Leslie's lives, right? Through some like older people like that I've seen, where they've just literally, it's been unfolding right in front of their eyes and my eyes, where I'm like, yeah, they're thriving. They're doing good. Like life is good if you make it. Life is how you make it for real. And if you believe and you make it to where it's going to be good for you, then it will be.
You really do have to choose that. Like, I think not every day is a perfect day, but it's like you have to choose that. Like, am I really going to see the down in things, or am I going to make the most out of it? Because time is so limited, and I don't want to live the rest of my life feeling like this. Just do the best I can, live the best I can, be the happiest I can, do what I can with my life in this moment. And
just to be present too, like, and I know we speak a lot about that too, especially the episode of grief, just learning how to be present too. Like, I really need to practice that more.
We need to touch grass from time to time.
We need to touch grass. Like, we really need to touch grass. Last summer, when I went on a road trip to Minnesota with my family, we stopped at this little like food area to eat food, right? And like the grass was so pretty to me. It looked like fake grass, but it was real grass, and it was so smooth. And I recorded myself. I took my sandals off and I was just stepping in the grass. I'm like, ooh, this does feel nice.
They call that grounding.
There you go.
Yeah, because people literally do that every morning. They will like go outside and put their feet in the grass and in the dirt, and literally do that for like maybe like 20 minutes or so.
Just to like really ground yourself.
Ground with the earth.
I love that. We need to do that. We need to do a little session like that with 116 Hotline, like an outdoors one, whenever it gets to like cool. I mean, not cooler. Summertime.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be so cute.
People do that every day, and I love that practice, because it does make you feel like I'm literally coming back to reality. You're a human being. It's literally Earth. Like, there's not, like, I stop worrying about this other crap.
We're on a floating rock right now in space. Okay?
Literally. I want to say, if you're going through something similar like Sadie, transition period, maybe fine-tuning the important things in your life, maybe hardships, maybe whatever, just know that it's take a deep breath. It will all be okay. It may suck right now.
Yeah.
Time does heal all wounds, and the growing pains do suck, but in the end, you will come out stronger and better for yourself.
100%. And I would like to say thank you so much for the session. I feel like you were my therapist just now, bro. I swear, because you were just walking me through these little sessions. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of that. And you need to surround yourself with people like that. And I hope that this episode and conversation really, you did get something out of this, because I for sure did. Like, I sure as hell did. You know,
you feel better?
A lot better. I really do.
Yes,
I really do. And some of the things,
that's what big sisters are
period. Thanks. I think it's a lot of it, like, if I'm just talking about it out loud with you too,
it helps. Yeah,
it really helps, because just earlier I was talking out loud. I was like, oh wait, yeah, duh, that's like, why didn't I think of this?
Sometimes you have to hear it out loud. That's why I go in my car and I talk to myself. I'm like, you're right.
I talk to myself too. But yes, don't be afraid of it, because we're all in this together.
Yes, and we're all human.
Yes.
So don't be so hard on yourself.
Give yourself some grace.
Yes.
Now Sienna and I are gonna go and watch Baby Girl. So
Baby Girl. As always, we upload a new episode every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can find us at 116th Hotline on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So make sure you tune into our episodes. Make sure you like and subscribe, and share all the good things. Let us know if this episode helped you. And don't forget to check out all the previous episodes we have. We have about 60 something episodes. Woo. So make sure you check it out. If this is your first time listening, go all the way to the beginning, episode 1. I mean, I'm sorry if the audio was rough, but there's a lot of good conversations, and thank you so much for being here.
We'll see you next week. Bye.